City of Stoughton is now in session. The Honorable Matthew T. Rothe presiding.
Please be seated. Please silence all cell phones, remove all hats, and silence cell phones, hats, and cease all conversation at this time. We'll call the court to order at this time. My name is Matt Rothe. I'm the Stoughton Municipal Judge. Covers the City of Stoughton, towns of Dunkirk, Pleasant Springs, and Rutland. I'd like to go through some of the procedures we follow in the courtroom. These procedures should have been available to you in the pamphlet as you entered on the podium as you entered the courtroom. Tonight is plea night. We take pleas tonight. When your case is called, please come forward. We take people on a first come, first served basis. You'll be asked to enter a plea of either guilty, no contest, or not guilty. If you enter a no contest plea or guilty plea, I'll review your citation. If there's a factual basis, find you guilty and impose an appropriate forfeiture. A plea of no contest is similar to a guilty plea, but a conviction arising from a no contest plea cannot be used against you in a subsequent hearing. Let me explain that. Say if you're involved in a traffic accident and you receive a citation for it, if you enter a no contest plea to the citation, the person can't sue you later. If the person sues you later for the damages, they can't use that no contest plea against you. The forfeiture ranges from $20 to $1,000. However, almost all are within the $50 to $200 range. The state mandates we add costs to your forfeiture. For example, a $50 forfeiture results in a total cost to you of $124. I'll grant you 30 days to pay the fine. If you need additional time, please let me know. I have limited options to collect. I can suspend your driver's license for a year. I can intercept your taxes. I can actually send your account to state collections. I'd rather not do that. If you just need additional time to pay, just let me know, and we'll make appropriate arrangements for a payment plan. If you enter a not guilty plea, we'll schedule you. I will order that your case be sent over to the next court session for a pretrial conference with the city attorney. That date will be October 10th. That's a chance. That's where you get to meet with the city attorney, sit down, and see if you can resolve your case before you go to the trial. Those of you who are facing traffic offenses should understand that you lose demerit points upon most convictions of a traffic case. If you accumulate 12 or more points within a year of time, you'll lose your driver's license will be suspended. You'll also be fined. I'd like you to be aware of some of your rights before entering a plea. You have the right to ask for a continuance. This means that you can request that your case be sent over to another date, either to consult with a lawyer or for some other reason. This is a civil court. You're not entitled to a public defender, but you may hire an attorney at your own cost. You also have a right to a trial. Please remember your rights when considering your plea. Do you have any OWIs?
Yes.
Okay. Those of you charged with operating a motor vehicle while under the influence of an intoxicant are entitled to request a jury trial, in the circuit court upon proper payment of fees. All our cases will be heard by me in this courtroom with the right to appeal my ruling to circuit court. Thank you. Okay, that concludes my opening remarks. At this time, we will take people on the first come, first served basis. The first case is Parker Nicholas Fath.
Just stand here, Your Honor.
Yeah, at the podium, in front of the podium with the microphone. That way, not only can I hear you, but we establish our record then too. So, okay, Mr. Fath, do I have your correct address in State Road 138 in Stoughton?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You received a citation for speeding on a city highway 11 to 15 miles an hour over the limit. Do you understand what speeding on a city highway 11 to 15 over is?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. That means that if whatever the posted speed limit was, say for example, if it's 25, that means that you were clocked between 36 and 40 miles an hour. Does that make more sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The forfeiture on this is 4 points and a total. The forfeiture is $98.80, and 4 demerit points issued your driver's license. This is a speeding case, so the range on this is $30 to $300. You're actually at the minimum fine of $30 plus cost equals $98.80 then, when we add cost to it. Do you understand the points and then the forfeiture as well?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you were to enter a not guilty plea, you'd meet with the prosecutor, and the prosecutor would give you a 10-hour a break. I've reached an agreement with the city prosecutor where, in order to save time, I actually make the same offer right there. I've been authorized to do that. So instead of 11 to 15 over, it would be 1 to 10 over. That would be 3 points instead of 4. Same forfeiture of $98.80. In other words, you save a point. Do you understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Any questions regarding this citation?
No, Your Honor.
Now is the time you take your plea, and this plea would be to 1 to 10 over the limit for 3 points. To speeding, 1 to 10 over for 3 points, forfeiture of 98.80. What is your plea?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Okay. You understand with a guilty plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay, I have read the police report. I do find a factual basis. I'll accept your guilty plea and find you guilty to speeding 1 to 10 miles an hour over the limit. That's 3 points instead of 4, and then total forfeiture. You're at the minimum, so I can't reduce it any further. It would be $98.80. Mr. Fath, do you need time to pay that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. What I will do is I will give you a judgment and order. You can take that to the dispatch window downstairs and make payment immediately. Otherwise, if you don't do that today, I'll grant you 30 days to pay.
All right, Your Honor.
All right, any other questions?
No, Your Honor.
That will take care of it. Thank you, Mr. Fath, excuse me. Thank you. Monica Johnson? Just a minute, Ms. Johnson. Ms. Johnson, do I have your correct address on Page Street in Stoughton?
Correct.
Okay. You received a citation for criminal damage to property. That citation carries a penalty of $187. In addition to $187, I can also order restitution be paid. Do you know what restitution is? Okay. Restitution means basically that if you cause damage to somebody else's property, in addition to the $187, I can also order that you repay back that person whose damage you allegedly caused. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. Okay, do you understand what criminal damage to property is?
Yes.
All right. And the forfeiture range on this is $50 to $1,000. You're actually at $50 plus. You're actually at $100 plus costs. So you're not quite at the minimum, but you're on the lower end of the scale. Do you understand that as well?
Correct.
Okay. So you understand restitution as I've explained it to you as well?
Yes.
All right. Any questions for the court? All right. Now is the time to take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
No contest.
You understand that with a no contest plea, I must find you guilty? You understand that?
Yes.
All right. You also understand that if I find you guilty, I could impose restitution as well?
Yes.
All right. Let me review the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. All right, I have reviewed the police report. You do find a factual basis for your plea, accept your no contest plea, and find you guilty. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on a sentence? Is that a no? We're being recorded, so we can't
No.
pick up a shake of the head, so. Okay, I do find that the forfeiture to be appropriate. I will order that you pay a forfeiture of $187. How much time do you need to pay that?
I can do it today.
Okay, I will give you a form, and you can take that downstairs. I'll give you the a form as well. Now, as far as restitution, there was a restitution request for $140. It's with the city police officer. I'm not going to order restitution this evening, but I can. What I will do, I will leave it up to the victim if he wants to file a restitution request with the court, meaning that if that happens, you have to notify you and us that if we get a restitution notice, we would have a separate hearing on that as to the value, the damages of the property then.
I mean, I have no problem doing that.
Do you want to,
Anyway?
you would pay the $140
Yeah.
anyway? Do you want me to just take care of it this evening then?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll
Please.
add a $140 restitution to this. How much time do you need to pay for that?
I can do that today.
Okay, so it'll be the $187 will be added together with the $140. That would result in, let me check for my math, $317. Yeah, $327. So that will be how much is payable and owing to you. So I'll give you that form. You can take that downstairs, present that to the dispatch window. For whatever reason, if you don't do it tonight, I'll give you 30 days to do that then. Okay? Any other questions for me?
Nope.
All right, that will take care of it this evening then. Thank you. I got it. Attorney Dallier? Yeah, are you ready? Okay. Are you just going to enter a not guilty plea on behalf of your client? Okay. We'll let you do that at your leisure then. So, okay. Thank you. Abigail Johnson?
Did you say the fine was $327?
Yes.
Okay, gotta get caught up.
Sorry. Just a minute, Ms. Johnson.
Not a problem.
Ms. Johnson, do I have your correct address on Big Sky Drive in Madison?
Yes.
All right. You were cited for speeding on a city highway, 11 to 15 miles an hour over limit. That citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 4 demerit points issued your driver's license. You understand that?
I do?
Okay. You understand the points and forfeiture as well?
Yes.
Okay. Forfeiture range is $30 to $300. You're actually at the minimum $30 plus costs. In addition, you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. In addition to that, if you were to enter a not guilty plea, the prosecutor would give you a 10-mile leeway. I do the same as well. So instead of 11 to 15 over, I would issue, or I would have you enter a plea to 1 to 10 over, which would be 3 points instead of 4 for the same forfeiture. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
All right. Any questions for me?
Just one. If I did do the not guilty to have the pretrial conference, would there also be, or would it increase the, would it just delay all of this? Or?
I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
it's a chance for you, if you believe that you're not guilty or you think you could get a different arrangement,
Right.
then I always encourage people to enter a not guilty plea.
Okay.
They want to make sure. Is that what you want to do?
Yes, I would like to do
Okay,
that.
I'll enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. We'll set the matter for a pretrial conference on, was it October 10th?
Yes.
Okay, October 10th. Now, a few things, I'll give you a notice in just a minute, but make sure that you appear at the pretrial conference, because I'm ordering that you appear. Because if you don't appear, I'll find you default and I'll find you guilty, and I'll impose those penalties as
Right.
before, for a 4-point ticket
Yes.
as well. Make sure that you're familiar with where we have the pretrial conferences, downstairs, okay?
Went there first on accident.
Okay, good, good. So you already know where that is. And it's a chance to tell your side of the story, so bring whatever documents or witnesses might help your case. Basically, you and the city attorney will meet to see if you can resolve it then.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any questions?
Nope, that's all.
Once the bailiff gives you the form, that will take care of it this evening.
Thank you very much.
Corin Johnson? Ms. Johnson, do I have your correct address at Main Street in Stoughton?
Yep.
All right. You were cited with, just a minute, operating while revoked as a forfeiture action. This citation carries a penalty of $124 and 3 demerit points issued your driver's license. Do you understand what operating while
Yes.
revoked is? Okay. Do you have any, and you check the forfeiture range on this. Forfeiture range on this, 343, 44, 1B. is $50 to $200. So you're at $50 plus cost. You're at the minimum forfeiture on the range as well.
Sure.
Okay. Do you understand the citation? You understand the points and the forfeiture? Any questions regarding this citation?
No,
Now is the time you take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
not guilty.
Okay. With a not guilty plea, we'll schedule this matter. I'm going to order that you attend a pretrial conference with the city attorney. That will be on October 10th.
Okay. Is it at a certain time?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, well, okay.
It's usually
Okay.
around 5 o'clock.
Sure.
It might be a little bit before, but they're Wednesday afternoons.
Okay.
Again, and you were here in the audience when, but I have the
Right.
explanation, so.
Yeah, no, that's
so
fine.
Make sure that you appear, because if you don't appear, I'll find you in default, I'll find you guilty.
Right.
I always advise people to go take a look at the room, that way they're familiar with their surroundings. It's on the
Sure.
first floor of this building.
Right.
Yep, exactly. Walk through the second set of doors on your left. And it's a chance to meet with the city attorney to see if you can resolve the case, so bring whatever witnesses or documents might help your case then, so.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Nope, that is
The
it.
bailiff will give you the notice, and then that will take care of it for this evening then.
All right, thank you.
Need a little bit to catch up?
I'm good now.
Okay, thanks. Kaylee Hammersley? Ms. Hammersley, do I have your correct address on Scotland Road in Stoughton?
Yes, sir.
All right. You received a citation for speeding on a city highway 11 to 15 over the limit. That citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 4 demerit points issued your driver's license. Do you understand what speeding on a city highway 11 to 15 is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You understand the points and the forfeiture as well?
No, sir.
Okay, meaning that normally for speeding cases, 1 to 10 miles an hour over the limit for speeding is 3, 11 to 19 is 4, and 20 plus is 6. For most moving violations, the minimum usually for moving violations is 3, and then usually the maximum is 6. That's usually the point values. Now, as far as the forfeiture goes, the officer could have written this ticket for $30 or all the way up to $300 plus costs. You're at $30 plus costs, you're at the minimum.
Okay.
Does that help clarify things?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you were to enter a not guilty plea, the city attorney, the prosecutor would automatically reduce your, or not automatically, but reduce your, their normal settlement is to reduce it by 10 miles an hour over the limit. And to make things easier, I make the same offer, and we've reached an agreement where I can do that right here in court. So in other words, instead of 11 to 15 over, if you enter no contest or guilty plea, you'd be found guilty of 1 to 10 over.
Okay.
That would result in 3 demerit points rather than 4. Same forfeiture, 98.80, because you're already in the minimum then.
Okay.
Okay. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for me regarding my policy on the reduction or traffic ticket or anything else?
No.
Now is the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Guilty.
Okay. You understand with a guilty plea, I must find you guilty?
Yep.
Let me review the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea. I'll accept your guilty plea and find you guilty. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on the sentence?
No.
Okay, I will find you guilty of speeding 1 to 10 over the limit. That's 3 points instead of 4. And the minimum, you're already at the minimum forfeiture of $98.80. How much time do you need to pay that?
I can do it today.
Okay, what I will do is I'll give you 30 days, but I'll give you the form. It's called disposition order. You can take that form and take it downstairs to the dispatch window, present the form, and then make payment right there.
Okay.
And once you get that form from the bailiff, that will take care of it for this evening. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Jasmine Sauer. Just a minute, Ms. Sauer. Ms. Sauer, do I have your correct address on Smeadle Drive in Stoughton? Is that a yes?
Yes.
We're being recorded, so if I make a mistake and we have to be appealed, we want to make sure that we have a clear record, so.
I'll get that.
You've been cited for speeding on a city highway 1 to 10 miles an hour over the limit. That citation carries a penalty of 3 demerit points and a total forfeiture of $98.80. Do you understand what speeding on a city highway 1 to 10 over is?
Yes, I do.
Okay. you understand that you're also facing 3 points and a total forfeiture of $98.80?
Yes, I do.
Now, the forfeiture range on this is $30 to $300, but you're at the minimum of $30 plus cost.
Yes,
Okay.
now I get that.
Now, on this, you've been in the audience, I give a 10-mile
Yep.
hour leeway. The prosecutor would make the, always, or not always, usually reduces it 10 over.
Yep.
However, you're already at 1 to 10 over the limit for
Yep.
this. So
I
for
get that
these, the next level down is actually called defective speedometer. That
Okay.
would result in 2 demerit points instead of 3.
Yep.
Same forfeiture of $98.80. And defective speedometer, it's 347.41 is the statute. That just means that your speedometer wasn't working correctly.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any questions regarding if you were to plea that I would I would find you guilty of defective speedometer if you entered no contest or guilty plea?
No questions, no.
Okay. Any questions regarding the citation at all?
Nope.
All right. Now's the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
No contest.
You understand with no contest plea, I must find you guilty?
Mhm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, I do.
All right. Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay, I have read the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea, except your no contest plea to defective speedometer and find you guilty to the defective speedometer. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on a sentence?
Nope, that would be.
All right, I will assess, the DOT will assess 2 points issued against your driver's license. Total forfeiture be $98.80. How much time do you need to pay that?
I can pay that today.
Okay, I'll give you 30 days, but if you want to pay it today, I can give you a yellow form called disposition order. You can take that downstairs to the dispatch window and make
Okay.
payment right away.
Awesome, thank you.
Once you receive the disposition order, that will take care of it for this evening then.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect, thank you.
Nicholas Matthias? Just a minute, Mr. Matthias. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Matthias, I have your correct address in Arundel Court in Stoughton.
Yes, sir.
All right. You've received a citation for failure to stop at stop sign. That citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 3 demerit points issued to your driver's license. The forfeiture range on failure to stop for stop sign is as follows. It's $20 to $40, so you're right in the middle of that range at $30. Do you understand what failure to stop at a stop sign is?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you understand the points and forfeiture as well?
No, sir.
Okay. Basically, again, for moving violations, most moving violations, the minimum forfeiture will be 3. The DOT has established a bond book and reviewed what type of citations a failure to stop at stop sign is and have codified that to be 3 points. Does that help your understanding?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any questions regarding this citation?
No, sir.
Now's the time I take your plea. Guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Guilty?
Okay. You understand with a guilty plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes, sir.
Let me read the police report. I want to see if I have a factual basis for your plea. Do you have a probationary license?
Yes, sir.
Is this your first citation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I have accepted your guilty plea and found you guilty. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on a sentence?
No, sir.
Okay. I do find that the forfeiture to be appropriate, $98.80. The DOT assessed the 3 points, and once you plead guilty to that, there's not anything I can do to amend that. So, how much time do you need to pay?
I can pay right now.
Okay, I'll give you 30 days, and I'll give you a disposition order. You can take that. Since you have a probationary license, I just want to caution you that and how old are you?
16.
Okay, you have a probationary license until you turn 19. So every other citation that you receive now, the point totals will double. So if you get a 10-mile-an-hour speeding ticket, that actually will double to 6. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of that and that you should be careful.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other questions for me?
No, sir.
That'll take care of it this
Thank
evening.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mary Ortega? Mr. Ortega, do you have your correct address in Prairie Street in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. You received a citation for operating motor vehicle without insurance.
Yes.
This citation carries a penalty of $124 and 0 demerit points issued your driver's license. Forfeiture range on this is as follows. $344.62. 0 to $500. You're at $50 plus costs. So you're not at the minimum, but you're pretty close to the minimum on the forfeiture range then.
Okay.
Okay. Is the car insured now?
It's my boyfriend's car. I made him get it insured and he put me on the insurance.
I can't do anything about amending this. If you want to discuss this with the city prosecutor, what I would recommend doing that you enter not guilty plea, attend the pretrial conference on October 10th, and show the prosecutor proof that the car is now
I
insured.
can't because I work evenings, so.
Okay, but you can
I-
maybe, I know that you work evenings then, but you might be able to discuss this over the phone before the pretrial conference. Is that something that you want to do?
There's no points going to be taken off. I just
No
obtained my
points.
CDL, so I don't want any points.
You have a what?
My CDL?
It's 0 points, it's a non-moving. I don't know the full effects of what that will do to a CDL, other than I know it's 0 points.
Okay,
So-
give it to me then.
Okay. When you say give it to me, does that mean you want to enter no contest plea?
Yeah.
Okay. You understand with no contest plea, I must find you guilty?
Yeah.
All right, let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have factual basis for your plea. I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis to accept your no contest plea and find you guilty. Anything you'd like to say before I decide a sentence?
No.
Okay. I do find $124 to be appropriate.
Okay.
And I'll assess the forfeiture at that level. How much time do you need to pay?
Probably 2 weeks.
Okay, I'll give you 30 days.
Okay.
So I'll give you a notice, just indicating that you can either mail in payment or drop it off at the dispatch window downstairs, your choice. Once you receive the notice called disposition order, that will take care of it for this evening.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ortega.
Thank you.
Samantha Missioner. Miss Missioner, did I say your name correctly?
Yeah.
All right. Do I have your correct address in Stoughton Avenue here in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. This citation, you've been cited for 2 citations. One is for operating a motor vehicle while under the influence of intoxicant, and the second is for operating after suspension. Okay. For operating a motor vehicle while under the influence, that's known as the OWI, or drunk driving law. The penalties are as follows. You'll be facing a 6 to 9 month driver's license revocation. The DOT will assess 6 demerit points issued your driver's license. If you're found guilty, you have to attend an alcohol and other drug assessments. And total forfeiture is $150 to $300, depending on the severity. Now, right now, it says the face amount of the citation is $861. In addition to the $150 to $300, what happens is they assess costs to that effect. However, if you have costs, they add the cost of an assessment of $355 as well. That's why the forfeiture goes from $150 to $300 up to $861. All right. Now, if there was, normally there's a companion ticket called operating motor vehicle with a prohibited alcohol concentration, but I don't see that. So when I don't see that, usually that means there was a refusal. And if you're,
The machine wasn't reading it.
okay,
I didn't refuse. I took the test several times and it wouldn't read my.
okay. Was there a blood draw?
No, they didn't ask for blood or urine.
Okay. I don't see it, though, even if the machine wasn't working, so that tells me that it might have been your refusal. And if there was a refusal, the penalty on a refusal is a 12-month driver's license revocation instead of that. So, in addition, if there's a refusal or your blood alcohol content was 1.5 or higher, in addition to the penalties I've listed forth above, there would also be, I must also order an interlock ignition device be installed on all vehicles registered in your name for a period of 12 months. In addition to the 12-month IID, you would also be surcharged $50 for that as well. Okay? Your second citation was operating a motor vehicle while suspended. That citation carries a penalty of 3 merit points and $124. Forfeiture range on the operating after suspension is as follows. $50 to $200. You have $50 plus cost share on the minimum forfeiture range as well. Let's start with the operating after suspension citation first. Do you understand what operating after suspension is?
Yes,
All right. And do you understand that you're facing a three demerit points and a $124 fine?
yes,
All right. Now, on the operating while under the influence, again, if it was a refusal, it's a 12-month revocation. IID would be required on any refusal or any blood alcohol test of 1.5 or higher. And that would be for a period of 12 months for all vehicles registered in your name, and there would be a $50 surcharge. Do you understand what an IID is?
is that the machine that goes inside the car?
Yes. An IID is called an interlock ignition device, meaning that you have to blow into it for the vehicle to start. If there's any alcohol in your breath, your vehicle won't start, essentially. In addition, I charge you $50, I shouldn't say the court surcharges you that, but in order to get it installed, you also have the installation fee and the monthly fee as well. That's separate from the court. You understand that? All right. In addition, for the OWI, 6 to 9 month revocation, 6 points, alcohol and drug assessment, and forfeiture of age 61. Do you have any questions regarding that?
Because they're saying it's a refusal, is there anything I can do about
They should have
that?
given you a notice of intent to revoke at the time, and with that, you had 10, if it was a refusal, I don't know if you received it, I haven't looked at the case. I'm just saying, normally when I don't get the prohibited alcohol concentration, that's what I receive. You had 10 days to respond to that, and if you didn't provide a response within 10 days, the court system, the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals have both held that I lose my jurisdiction over a refusal case if you don't respond within 10 days. Okay. All right, any other questions for me?
I don't believe so.
Okay, now's the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
For which one?
For both of them, OWI or operating after suspension.
Okay, after suspension, not guilty.
Okay, if you're gonna enter a not guilty plea, the operating after suspension, why don't I just issue a not guilty plea for both of them? That will probably make it easier for you, both you and the prosecutor. So we'll enter a not guilty plea to both citations. A pretrial conference will be scheduled for October 10th. Miss Allen, good evening. Are you there that
I will
evening?
be.
Okay. This is Miss Allen. She'll be the prosecutor. You'll be meeting with her in the conference room downstairs. Make sure that you attend the pretrial conference because I'm ordering you to attend. If you do not attend, I'll find you in default and I'll find you guilty, impose all those penalties I've listed before. Make sure that you're familiar with where the pretrial conference will be, because if you're not, it's downstairs to the second set of doors on a conference room on your left marked pretrial conferences. And it's a chance for you to meet with the city to see if your case can be resolved. So bring whatever documents or witnesses might help your case. If the car is registered or if you have a valid driver's license, I'm sure Miss Allen will be interested in that.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions for me?
No.
I will get the bailiff will give you the pretrial conference notice, and once you receive that, that will take care of it for this evening. Then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Regina Wilson. Ms. Wilson, do I have your correct address on Vernon Road in Stoughton?
Yes, sir.
All right. You received a citation for speeding on a city highway 1 to 10 mile an hour over the limit. Do you understand what speeding on a city highway 1 to 10 over is?
Yes, sir.
All right. The penalties on this citation are 3 points and a forfeiture of $98.80. The forfeiture range for these type of speeding cases are $30 to $300. You're actually at the minimum cost of $30 plus costs. So that, the end result of that is $98.80.
Sure.
Okay. In addition to that, I give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway. If you were in or not guilty plea and meet with Miss Allen, she would also give you a 10-mile-an-hour leeway. You're already at 1 to 10 over anyway, so what I do with these is instead of the 10-mile-an-hour leeway would be what's called a defective speedometer. That would be 2 points instead of 3. Same forfeiture of $98.80. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Any questions for me? Now's
think
now's the time I take your plea. To the citation of defective speedometer, what is your plea?
No contest.
You understand with no contest plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes, sir.
Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. I have reviewed the police reports. I do find a factual basis for your plea. I'll accept your no contest plea and find you guilty to defective speedometer, contrary to 34741 as the statute number. That's 2 points instead of 3, same forfeiture of $98.80. Ms. Wilson, how much time do you need to pay that?
today.
Okay, I'll give you 30 days just in case something happens, but you can take this disposition order to the dispatch window downstairs and make payment then.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you.
Jamie Petkorsek? Let me try it, make sure I get, Petkovsek. Okay. Pekochek, okay. So there's a CH in there, Pekochek. All right, Ms. Pekochek. Easy for me to say.
You can just say Jamie P.
Okay. Do I have your correct address in County Road A in Edgerton?
Yes, sir.
All right. You received a citation for operating while revoked. That citation carries a penalty, $124 and 3 demerit points issued your driver's license. Do you understand what operating revoked as a forfeiture is?
I do.
Okay. The forfeiture range on this is, I believe it was $50 to $200. Let me check on that. You understand that you're facing a penalty of 3 demerit points for this citation?
I do.
Okay. 243, 44, just a minute, let me make sure. I want to make sure that everybody knows their forfeiture ranges on this. Yeah, $50 to $200. You're actually at the minimum of $50 plus costs. Total forfeiture $124.
Yes.
Okay. So you understand the citation, penalties, and points. Any questions for me?
No, but I just do want to state that,
Normally, I wouldn't allow you to, but the prosecutor's here, because if the prosecutor wasn't here, then it would be an ex parte contact, but since we're all here, go ahead.
okay. No, I realized that it was very shortly after my driving hours that day.
Okay, if you have any doubt on it, what I would suggest is that you enter a not guilty plea.
Okay.
You have a chance to meet with Ms. Allen to see
Sure.
if both of you can resolve the case.
I will
Okay.
plead not guilty then.
Okay. So pretrial conference will be held on October 11th, or October 10th, excuse me, and I'll give you notice of that in just a minute. Make sure that it's a chance to, I ordered you that you attend, so make sure that you attend, because if you don't, I'll find you default, I'll find you guilty and post the
Certainly.
penalties. A chance to meet with Ms. Allen, so bring whatever documents or witnesses might help your case as well, see if you and Ms. Allen can resolve it. And the pretrial conferences are held downstairs through the second set of doors in a room on your left. I always make sure that advise people take a look at the room, that way they're familiar with the with the
I
surroundings.
believe I saw it when I walked in.
Okay, good, good. So that sounds good. All right, once you receive the disposition order, that will take care of it this evening.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mark Jacobson? Good evening, Mr. Jacobson, just a minute. Mr. Jacobson, do I have your correct address in County Road W in Cambridge?
Yes,
Okay. You were cited for speeding on a city highway in a 55-mile-an-hour zone. Just a minute. It's a town of Dunkirk citation, so I'm not as familiar with these as I am with the others. There we go. Okay. It's speeding in a 55-mile-an-hour zone, 1 to 10 mile an hour over the limit. So this citation carries a penalty of 3 demerit points and a forfeiture of $98.80. The forfeiture range on this is $30 to $300. You're actually at the minimum of $30 plus cost of $98.80. Do you understand what speeding on a city highway 1 to 10 miles an hour over the limit is?
yes, I do.
All right. You understand that you're facing points of 3 points and $98.80 as well?
Yes,
Okay. However, if you're in a not guilty plea, now the prosecutor for this, you don't do Dunkirk, correct?
I do not.
Okay. It's a different prosecutor, but they also may have the same offer that if you were in they would offer 10 mile an hour leeway. Since you're at 1 to 10 over already, the 10 mile an hour leeway would take you down to what's called defective speedometer, which result in 2 demerit points rather than 3. Same forfeiture of $98.80 because that's the minimum forfeiture for these type of citations. Do you understand the 10 mile an hour leeway policy?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Any questions regarding any of the citation?
no,
All right. Now is the time I take your plea, and the plea would be to defective speedometer for 2 points, forfeiture of $98.80. Your plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
no contest.
You understand with a no contest plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes,
Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay. I have read the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea. I'll accept your no contest plea and find you guilty of defective speedometer, which will result in 2 demerit points rather than 3, contrary to 34741, Total forfeiture of $98.80. Mr. Jacobson, how much time do you need to pay?
I'll pay it now.
Okay, I will give you this disposition order. You can take that downstairs to the dispatch window and make payment. I'll grant you 30 days to pay, so if for whatever reason you get delayed tonight, you still would have time to do that.
Okay.
Okay, any questions?
Yes, I do. How do I find out how this affects my CDL? Do I
Okay.
call the DMV or?
I would do that. I didn't know you had a CDL, but normally what happens for any type of moving violations is that, I don't know how
Not a
you.
moving violation.
What's that? Yeah,
It's not
you're
a
right.
moving violation.
It's not a moving
It's an
violation.
equipment violation.
So that probably
it's,
would
like,
help.
treated differently, but you should call the DOT, yeah.
or
Yeah, that's a
DOT?
good suggestion for that.
Okay.
I'll be able to determine
All right,
that.
thank
so-
you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Allen.
Thank you.
Mariah Dietzman? Ms. Dietzman, do I have your correct address on Main Street in Stoughton?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. You've been cited for retail theft, intentionally taking less than $500. This citation carries a penalty of $187. The forfeiture range on this type of retail theft would be $50 to $1,000. You're actually at $100 plus costs. You're not at the minimum, but you're on the low end of the range as well.
Okay.
Okay. And do you understand what retail theft or intentionally take less than $500 is?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Now, normally, when you cited for retail theft, you're also subject to restitution, and restitution is where you have to pay the merchant back for the value of the merchandise taken. However, this was in my notes say this was Walmart, and Walmart does not ever request restitution,
Yeah.
so you're not facing that. But you might be facing additional penalties
Yeah.
from Walmart. You
They
understand?
already sent me a letter. I don't think they did anything else.
Okay. But just so you're aware that they could.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any questions regarding your forfeiture or the nature of the citation?
Nope.
All right. Now is the time I take your plea. Your three plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
No contest?
You understand with no contest plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes.
Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your
All right.
plea. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea, accept your no contest plea, and find you guilty. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on a sentence?
No.
Okay, I do find the $187 would be, to be appropriate forfeiture in this type of matter. I will not order any restitution for the reasons I've stated before, that it's Walmart, then they handle these type of restitution cases internally. My final question for you is, how much time do you need to pay for the $187?
If I could get like 30 days, that would be great.
Do you need 30 or do you need a little longer?
If I could get a little longer.
I'll give you 60 days to pay.
Okay.
If you find that you can't pay within 60 days, there's a number on your form that you can call. You can schedule a hearing where you ask for more time. I certainly don't have any objection to extending the more time.
Okay.
And the prosecutor usually doesn't either, but I want to make sure that you try for 60 days.
Yeah,
at
of
first.
course.
Okay. All right. With that, once you receive the disposition order, that will take care of it this evening.
All right, thank you.
William Gerber. Mr. Gerber, do I have your correct address on Main Street in Deerfield?
No, sir.
I'm sorry?
No, sir.
Okay, what's your correct address?
724 Harvest Lane, Stoughton, Wisconsin.
And that was 724 Harvest Lane, Stoughton, Wisconsin, 53589.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. You can move the
Yeah,
microphone
you
up.
can just, there you go.
Make it a little easier for you. All right, Mr. Gerber, I have two citations for you. The first one is contributing alcohol to an underage minor or procuring alcohol for minors. This citation carries a penalty of $376. Do you understand what procuring alcohol to minors is?
Not really, sir.
Okay, let me review the statute number. It is statute number, there's ordinances which are city laws, and this is 14-33 of the city ordinance, which adopts state statute 12507, sub 1, sub A, sub 4, and I can read that to you. 12507, subsection 1A4, states as follows. No adults may intentionally encourage or contribute to a violation of 4A or 4B. And 4A or 4B basically says, any other person who does the following is guilty: procures or attempts to procure alcohol beverages from a licensee or permittee, unless accompanied by a parent or adult who has attained legal drinking age, enters knowingly, attempts to enter, or is on a licensed premises of a place that sells exclusively alcohol. And then 4A or 4B. B says, except if provided if you work in a brew pub or a bar, and any underage person not accompanied by his parent, guardian, adult who has attained legal age, who knowingly possessions or consumes alcohol beverages is guilty of a violation. In other words, that you procured or gave alcohol to minors then. Does that help clarify things?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the penalty on that range is, let me just check on that. Attempts to procure. Forfeiture range on this is $250 to $500, and I believe you're at the minimum of $250 plus costs. That's the first citation. The second citation is as follows. Let me open that up. Second citation is driving with person riding illegally. This citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 2 demerit points issued to your driver's license. Do you understand what driving with a person riding illegally is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The penalty around this is 2 points, and the forfeiture range is your $98.80, but the forfeiture range is $20 to $40. You're at $30 plus costs. You're right in the middle of the forfeiture range as well. Okay. Any questions regarding this citation?
No, sir.
Any questions regarding any of these citations?
No, sir.
Now's the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Guilty.
Okay. You understand with a guilty plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes, sir.
Let me read both police reports. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your pleas. Accept your guilty pleas and find you guilty of both person riding illegally and procuring alcohol for minors. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on a sentence?
No, sir.
Okay, I do find both forfeitures to be appropriate. First one, I will order a fine of $376, and the other one, I will order a forfeiture of $98.80 and 2 demerit points issued to your driver's license. How much time do you need to pay for these citations?
30 days.
Okay, I'll grant 30 days to pay. I'll give you a disposition order for both forfeitures. If you need additional time, there's a number on there you can call, and you can schedule a hearing where we can hear more time. I'd rather have you pay in 30 days, but if you can't, at least call the number and schedule an appointment then.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Any questions?
No, sir.
All right, that will take care of it this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Brian May. Mr. May, do I have your correct address on Moline Street here in Stoughton?
Yes.
Okay. I have 3 citations for you. The first one is for hit and run unattended vehicle. That citation carries a penalty of 6 demerit points issued your driver's license and a $187 forfeiture. Do you know what hit and run unattended vehicle is?
No.
If you'd like, I can read the statute for you.
Sure.
Okay? It's 70-1, which is the ordinance number, that's the local rules, and adopts state statute 34668, which states the following. Okay, 34668, duty upon striking unattended vehicle. The operator of any vehicle which collides with any vehicle which is unattended shall immediately stop and either locate and notify the owner or operator or owner of such vehicle of the name and address of the owner and operator of the vehicle striking the unattended vehicle, or leave in a conspicuous place in the vehicle struck a written notice giving the name and address of the operator and of the owner of the vehicle doing the striking and a statement of circumstances thereof. Any such stop shall be made without obstructing traffic more than is necessary. So if you were in a car, the law states if you're in a car and you strike another one, you have to either locate the owner and tell the owner, or you have to leave a note in a conspicuous place, usually under their, their windshield wiper, about your name and address.
I hit my neighbor's car. I
Okay.
told him about it.
Okay.
The insurance is already.
Well, before you don't need to explain anything, I'm just kind of here for pleas night. The second citation is for, let me check the forfeiture range on that, 34668. $0 to $200, you're at $100 plus cost. You're right in the middle of the forfeiture range. The second citation is for unsafe backing of vehicle. That citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 2 demerit points issued to your driver's license. And the forfeiture range on this is, I'll check that as well. Forfeiture range on this is 20 to 40, so you're at $30 plus cost. You're right in the middle of the forfeiture range. Do you understand what unsafe backing of vehicle is?
Yes.
Okay. Then now the third citation is for failure of operator to notify police of an accident. That citation carries a penalty of $313 and 6 demerit points issued to your driver's license. Do you understand what failure of operator to notify the police is?
Yes.
Okay. Now on that one, it's forfeiture range on this is $200 to $500, and you were cited for the minimum of $200 plus cost. Now, the total forfeiture, the total points, as I've seen this, is 14. So if you enter a guilty plea, your license will be suspended because you'll have accumulated 12 or more points. So if you want to contest any of these, what I would suggest is that you enter a not guilty plea and have an opportunity to meet with the prosecutor to see if you can resolve your case.
And the points won't be taken off yet?
Well,
Not yet.
you can negotiate with the prosecutor about
Not
what to do.
today.
Right, not today.
So I'm going to say not guilty.
Okay. I'll enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. We'll schedule all 3 citations for a pretrial conference on October 10th, and I'll give you notice on when the time and the date of that pretrial conference in just a minute. You'll meet with Miss Allen, who's seated to your right, and I'll order you to meet with her. It's a chance to see if you can resolve these 3 citations. So bring whatever documents or witnesses might help your case. Make sure that you appear at the pretrial conference, because if you don't, I got to issue the forfeitures and the penalties as I've indicated.
When was that? October 10th, you said?
Yes.
It'll be on the form. They'll give you a form.
Okay. And the pretrial conferences are held downstairs through the second set of doors in a conference room on your left. It'll be marked pretrial conference.
All righty.
Any other questions for me?
Nope.
All right,
that's it,
then I'll
Your
take
Honor.
care of it this evening, and thank you. Are we through the pretrials? Okay. Who's this? Scotty Williams? Okay. Mr. Williams, is that, you're Mr. Williams?
Yes.
I have a couple citations for you. The first one, let me make sure I got your address correct. Do I have your correct address on Llewellyn Street in Marshall?
Yes.
All right. Received 2 citations. The first one is for operating while revoked, forfeiture as a forfeiture of 4th or higher offense. This citation carries a penalty of 3 points and $313. Now, the operating after revoked penalty on this is $50 to $200 plus costs. You're actually at the maximum $200 plus costs. Although, since this is a 4th, the penalties might increase. Let me check to make sure they don't. Yep, 3rd violation is actually, it's $0 to $2,500, I'm sorry. So the forfeiture range on this is either from $0 to $1,500 plus cost. You're at $200 plus cost. You're not at the minimum, but you're on the low end of the range. Do you understand what operating while revoked is?
No, I do not.
Okay. It is Town of Pleasant Springs Ordinance Number 177, which adopts the following, which adopts State Statute 34344, which states as follows. Three 4344 1B states as follows. Operating while suspended, revoked, ordered out of service, or disqualified. Operating offenses. B. Operating while revoked states as follows. No person whose operating privilege has been duly revoked under the laws of the state may knowingly operate a motor vehicle upon any highway in the state during the period of revocation or in violation of any restriction of occupational license issued to the person during the period of revocation. Does that help your understanding?
Yes, I understand that.
Okay. Now, second citation is as follows. Did you receive 2? Looks like you did. No. Just a minute, Mr. Williams. Okay, they gave me 2 copies of the same citation. So another citation is operating motor vehicle without insurance. That citation carries a penalty of $124 and 0 points. Do you understand what operating motor vehicle without insurance is?
No, would you explain that to me also?
Sure. It's again Pleasant Springs Ordinance 177 adopted State Statute 34462, which states as follows. Motor vehicle liability insurance required. Except as provided in 34463, which has various exceptions. No person may operate a motor vehicle upon a highway in the state unless the owner or operator of the vehicle has in effect a motor vehicle liability policy with respect to the vehicle being operated. You want me to review the exceptions as well?
Please.
Okay. Person operating a motor vehicle is not subject to the insurance requirements the following apply. The owner-operator has, in effect, a bond with respect to the vehicle that meets the requirements of the bond and filing a bond with the Secretary of Department of Transportation, and the vehicle is being operated with the permission of the person who filed the bond. B, the motor vehicle is issued as required, and the vehicle is being operated by the owner or with the owner's permission. And then C, the motor vehicle is owned by a self-insurer holding a valid certificate of self-insurance. D, the owner-operator of a motor vehicle has made a deposit of cash or securities meeting the requirements specified in the statute, and the vehicle is being operated with the permission of the vehicle. The vehicle is owned or leased to the United States, or this or other vehicle, and it has permission to being operated with the owner's or the lessee's permission. You understand those exceptions?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Any questions regarding this operating motor vehicle without insurance citation?
Well, I have questions.
Hang on a second. The prosecutor's not here, so the problem is if you're wondering about the nature of the citation, why the police officer issued it, I don't know and I can't answer that. If you have any questions regarding citations, what I would suggest is that you enter a not guilty plea. And I would order a pretrial conference that you meet with the prosecutor then to review these citations.
Well, if I'm...
Hang on. If you're gonna go ahead, you can't really tell me what happened because...
I'm not...
Okay.
I'm not explaining the incident. I'm still trying to figure out why am I here then, because I wasn't driving or operating a vehicle. You know, I was traveling in my automobile from point A to point B.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna enter a not guilty plea, because it sounds like there's a question regarding the facts for this citation. So I will, and this is,
I'll have to mail
we'll mail you a notice, because the, what township is this?
Pleasant Springs.
Pleasant Springs. They have a separate prosecutor, and they will have to let the court know when both you and they are available as well.
There'll be a phone number for you to call them, and most times they can handle it over the phone. Anyway, they do.
So is it normal for,
I don't, before, the prosecutor isn't here, so if you tell me any aspects of the case, what I have to do is I've heard the facts
well, I'm
without.
trying to understand the facts also, which,
But let me finish, sir. If I hear anything about the trial that would be considered factual basis, I have to recuse myself, and it would have to go before another judge. And then if that would go before another judge, then you would have, that would cause both you and the prosecutor to have to go to a different municipality. So that's why I'm always hesitant for people to not tell me too much about what happened. And I can't learn too much because it's not fair to the prosecutor that they're not here. I'm receiving too much information or only information from one side.
He doesn't know why you got your ticket.
Yeah,
I don't know why either.
okay.
He can't tell you, so.
Yes,
it's
I
gonna
can't
have
offer
to
legal
ask him.
advice, I can't say anything. I'm the baseball umpire, just call, determine whether somebody's guilty or not guilty in these.
Okay, so what am I supposed to do to find out if the infractions are pertaining to me or not?
Okay, well, you can discuss that with the prosecutor, and we'll mail you a contact information for the prosecutor then.
And that's the only way?
Yes,
Okay.
and that's what we'll do. And we've got your address, so we'll send all that information to your address then. Okay, with that will take care of it this evening. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you.
The last one, he had called and left a voicemail that he wanted it rescheduled, so I took him off the docket.
Okay, he's here
And
now.
now he showed up, so that's not on your list. 'Cause
Okay.
yours is updated.
Okay, how do you say that?
Nancy?
Brian Lindsay? Okay. Mr. Lindsay, what's your correct address
1309 Jackson Street.
here in Stoughton?
Yep.
Okay. Been cited for 2 citations. One is for non-registration of auto, and the second citation is for operating motor vehicle without proof of insurance. Do you understand the nature of both these citations? Okay. I see you've got a stack of documents here.
Yep.
What I would suggest is that, would you want to handle it right now, or?
I don't mind if it's a Stoughton case.
Yeah, it is, apparently.
Okay, this is not the same as registration though, sir. It's a registration.
What we'll do is, why don't we just enter a not guilty plea?
Yeah, okay, because we had problems getting
Oh,
the
I'm
title
sorry.
from the previous owner.
It is
so
now, because it just got issued.
Right,
Okay.
yep. And then
Yep.
there's the proof of insurance that we had insurance when this happened, so.
Yep, so this is valid for the time that would be covering the citation, and this was issued, the title was issued in August of 2018.
Okay,
So that would necessarily mean that it would be registered at this point.
okay. And so your vehicle is registered, is that my understanding?
Yes.
All right. And when did you purchase the vehicle?
We purchased it late May from some friends of ours, and we had a lot of problems getting a clean title from them.
Okay.
It was a nightmare.
So in other words, when you had problems getting the title, it wasn't through any fault of your own, but you did the best you could at getting it then?
Yeah.
Recommendation from the city?
Dismissal, Your Honor.
Okay. Your Honor, or, that, Your Honor,
He's had a long night, give him.
I have. So, based upon the motion of the city, the court will dismiss both the non-registration of auto and them operating motor vehicle without proof of insurance.
Okay.
All right, so dismiss,
Nothing?
and we
Thank
can
you.
send you paperwork to your address then.
Yep, you don't have to do anything else, she'll send you something to confirm it in the mail. Have a good night.
Thanks, George.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
All right.
Brandon can get one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're paying her by the hour, so
Yeah.
I'm
Okay, sure.
sorry to do that, but, no, I don't know what you want to do. It's that interpreter,
Okay, and this is the case of Travis Hills.
yes.
Okay.
The oath. This is the one that I took from the bond book. It's gonna be yours. That's the one that you sent me, so I don't know which.
Okay. Okay. Court will now call the case of Town of Pleasant Springs versus Travis Olson. Okay, thank you. All right. Please raise your hand and repeat after me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will interpret truly, accurately, completely, and impartially in accordance with the standards prescribed by law and the Code of Ethics for court interpreters, follow all court guidelines for interpreting, and discharge all the duties of an official court interpreter? I do. All right, thank you. And your name for the record? Okay, thank you. And you want to spell your last name for the record, please? Thank you, Ms. Goodencall. And you are Travis Olson? Yes. Do I have your correct address on Nightingale Lane in Cottage Grove? Mr. Olson, you have 2 citations. Do you understand that? Yes. Okay. Let me explain the first one to you. The first citation is called operating while under the influence of an intoxicant. Do you understand the nature of the citation? Yes, sir. Okay. The penalties are as follows. A 6 to 9 month driver's license revocation. Do you understand that? 6 points issued your driver's license. If you're found guilty, you have to attend an alcohol and drug assessment class. And you're also facing a penalty of $861. The penalty range on this is $150 to $300. However, on the same citation? Yes. However, there is a $355 assessment charge added to the forfeiture. In effect, the total forfeiture usually ranges from $750 to $1,000. You understand that? Yes, sir. Okay. In addition, if your blood alcohol content was a 0.15 or higher, I must order an interlock ignition device be installed in all vehicles registered in your name for a period of 12 months. I must also surcharge you $50 for that IID. IID is abbreviation for the interlock ignition device. Okay. Do you understand what an interlock ignition device is? Yes, sir. Okay. In addition, the driver's license revocation is 6 to 9 months, as I've stated earlier. Generally speaking, if your blood alcohol content is a 1.5 or lower, the driver's license revocation will be 6 months. If it's between a 1.5 and 2, it's 7 months. And if it's greater than a 0.2, it's 8 months. If there's any bad driving, I add 1 month to the revocation period. Do you understand all that so far? Yes, sir. Okay. All right. You received a second citation called operating a motor vehicle with a prohibited alcohol concentration. This citation indicates that you had a prohibited alcohol concentration of 0.08 or greater. The penalties for the prohibited alcohol concentration are the same as the operating while under the influence citation. However, I can find you guilty of both, but only impose penalties on one citation. The idea is that you would have to be found guilty of both. Actually, let me strike that. You'd have to be, in order to be acquitted, you would have to be found not guilty on both citations. Do you understand the difference between the prohibited alcohol concentration and the operating while under the influence citation? Okay. Do you have any questions regarding the penalties for either two citations? The way that interlock ignition device is, once you can't sit it out. Any vehicle that you own, you would have to put the interlock ignition device on for a period of 12 months, even if you don't have one right now.
So at some point in the future.
Do you understand that? Okay. In other words, defendants often make the mistake that they think that if they wait a year, they will be able to miss the penalties, but that's not the way the law works. As soon as you obtain a vehicle again, you have to install the interlock ignition device for a period of 1 year. Any other questions for the court? Okay. Now is the time I take your plea. Your three plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Oh, he's reading.
Do you understand that with a no contest plea, I must find you guilty? Let me review the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. I only have the face sheets. Do you have the police report with you?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Here, I only have the citations.
Right, that's all.
That's all
It was
that you
the
have.
sheriff, and he didn't provide the breath sample, but he did put the .19, if you see that on the citation.
Okay.
It was his first time doing this for Pleasant Springs. Sure, if you absolutely need it.
I did. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I don't have the copy of the police report in front of me.
Well, that is the report, though. The only thing that isn't there is the breathalyzer test.
He doesn't have a narrative.
That's how they submit all of it. I can, everything that's there.
Okay, let me take a look at it further. Okay.
because it's the same time already saying that they're gonna get compiled, and I'm guessing they don't get compiled with the township.
Okay. Okay, I do have the alcohol and drug influence report. Okay. Okay, I have not reviewed the police report. I have, however, reviewed the notice of intent to suspend operating privilege. I've reviewed the citations. I've reviewed the informing the accused form. And I've reviewed the alcohol and drug influence report. I do not have a copy of the subject test record card. I don't have any evidence of any bad driving behavior. Based upon, I will accept the defendant's no contest plea. However, without a subject test record card or anything else, I cannot determine the blood alcohol content. The defendant's been found guilty of both I'll find the defendant guilty of both the OWI and PAC. However, since I don't have any proof of the blood alcohol content in front of me, I will give the defendant the minimum driving license penalties. The minimums will be as follows: 6-month driver's license revocation, alcohol and other drug assessment class will be ordered by that he attend that. 6 points issued to his driver's license, and a total forfeiture. I'll assign the forfeiture of the face amount of the citation, which is $861. However, I don't have any evidence in front of me that his blood alcohol content was 1.5 or higher. Because there's a lack of evidence in front of me, I will not order an interlock ignition device be installed in all vehicles registered in his name. So there will be no IID penalty and no $50 surcharge. I'll note for the record, this was a Town of Pleasant Springs citation. The Town of Pleasant Springs would like me to order an IID. They will have to submit the let me make sure I get the right terminology. The test subject record card to me. Without that in front of me, I have no idea what the blood alcohol content is. I don't care. So how much time do you need to pay? Okay, I'll grant 90 days to pay the $861. If you need additional time, there is a number on the document that you can call and schedule an appointment or hearing in front of me where you can ask for more time.
Well, this form, then I have to report the number which I took off the citation. So.
Okay. Well, not anymore. Sorry.
No,
I'm going to say blood alcohol content is a 1.4.
I'm not sure how it's going to work with the DMV because I think he files that with them, so they'll
Okay.
have, that's right.
If the DOT,
Yeah.
if the DOT sends me notice, if the DOT sends me notice about the blood alcohol content, I will notify the DOT that there was no proof it submitted to me. So. Okay. Mr. Olson, I have a couple forms for you to fill out. If you want to step forward. This is what's called a court-ordered for IDP-related offense assessment and driver safety plan. There's a number right there for you to call within 72 hours. This will set up you have to set up a driver safety plan and an assessment. In order to get your driver's license back, you have to call this number and start on the driver safety plan.
Same phone number?
Yes. There are 2 copies, one for you and one for the court. I ask that you read one and sign both. Okay, I will sign both as well. Okay, I'll put Judge Matt Rothe on the blood alcohol reduction. You can keep one, and I'll keep one. What else do we have, Paul?
It'll be a couple minutes.
Okay, we'll have a few more documents for you in a couple of minutes.
Judge, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I have a situation happening.
Yeah.
Our pretrials are very straightforward. What I wanted to do is introduce Kyle. He's my colleague now, and I apologize. Would you mind if I go?
No,
I'm
no, no.
really sorry.
Sorry about that, thank you.
I'm gonna bail on you. I'm sorry. There shouldn't be any questions, but if you do.
Now, if Mr. Olson, if you could go back to the podium. Okay. Mr. Olson, what did you learn from this situation?
I learned I made a mistake and I should not drive under the influence. That's a risk to others and possibly to myself.
Okay, anything else?
I'm not going to do it again.
Okay, how do I know that you won't do this again?
You won't hear from me or see me again.
Okay. Just be aware that second offenses within 10 years and third offenses for lifetime are considered criminal offenses, and that you would go before a circuit court judge and you'd be facing mandatory jail time. You understand that? Okay. Now I have some documents. One is judgment and order, a couple copies of that. A pamphlet for an OWI assessment, and information on occupational license information. Read through these documents and let the court know if you have any questions. Okay. Once you grab these documents, that will take care of it for this evening then.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Olson. Let me do it.
Okay.
You want me to sign that?
Okay. Because we had her, we used her once before, and I just,
You just said thank you for, the court interpreters for the state has now issued out this document for any legal proceedings. It is filled out and submitted.
okay.
When I submit an invoice, I'll submit that with
Okay,
it
okay.
as proof.
Instead of county signature, I'll just put City of Stoughton signature.
I'm just gonna just make sure. I wasn't sure if it was required hard for the city, but I'm like, you know what?
And-
I'm just gonna include it just so.
Better to be safe than
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
Okay, there you go.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for doing thank you for your services.
And this, you should talk about that later, because I didn't know if the town of Pleasant Springs should pay her bill. Yeah. Yeah, I have no idea. Oh, okay.
Okay, so, defendant peer person, no change. Okay, good. Oh, these are all OWIs with attorneys. No wonder why it took so, no wonder it didn't take very long.
Quick turnaround.
I was wondering why you guys are so early tonight. That makes sense. Okay. Okay. All pretrial conferences are approved. Thank you for waiting tonight.
Great,
So,
thank you.
anything else for the city other than the defaults? All right, I think that'll take care of it. That's it. Oh, yeah? Okay. Probably apologize for that, so, all right. Thank you.
Yeah, he
Nice
found his
meeting
way, I'm guessing, up here from us, and yeah, it's a little disconnected, but found his way. All right, have a good night.
Priority case that they're ready for the end, so.
Okay.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, everybody. Everybody's, for really, that many people showed up. It took a while. Oh. All right, you ready? No, I just don't like it when they, you don't like it when they.
There's one thing I just found, this is not on the docket, the officer put the wrong time, so I did find it, so when you're defaulting, you could add that to the list.
Oh, yeah, okay. He was supposed to be here tonight.
Yeah, he didn't appear,
Okay.
so,
Okay, I will do that.
but he's not on this list.
Okay, now we're going to go through the rest of the initial docket. James Anderson, default judgments. Tyrone Anderson, default judgments. Dallas Bartle, on the motion of the city, case is dismissed. Jose Bastida is a default judgment. Gregory Bauman is a default judgment. Alicia Benford is a default judgment of both citations. Ethan Birdsill is a default judgment on all three citations. Stephen Blair, based upon the motion of the city, the case is dismissed. Nicole Blum, default judgments. Danielle Boucher, default judgment on both citations. Brian Chamberlain is a default judgment. Daniel Cleary is a default judgment. Rosemary Cornelius is a bond forfeiture on both citations. Quincy Crawford is a default judgment on all four citations. Zachary Cruz is a default judgment. Bradley Krull is a default judgment. Miguel Cruz is a bond forfeiture on both citations. Lucille Darcellin is a bond forfeiture. Marvin Dawson is a default judgment on both citations. Cole Diedrichs is a default judgment on both citations. Christine Drasler is a bond forfeiture on all three citations. Elizabeth Duran is a bond forfeiture. Joseph Eckel is a bond forfeiture. Colleen Eddings is a bond forfeiture. Cassandra Edsmo is a default judgment. on all 3 citations. Samara Farrell is a default judgment. Kathleen Garwick is a default judgment. Kyle Guile is a bond forfeiture. Michael Gurman is a default judgment. Derek Grefsheim is a default judgment on all 3 citations. Eric Hagan is a bond forfeiture. James Hammis is a default judgment on both citations. Adam Hastings is a default judgment on all 3 citations. Amy Housen is a default judgment. Brandon Hendrickson is a default judgment on all 3 citations. Andrew Henney is a default judgment. Emma Holland is a bond forfeiture on both citations. Heather Homner is a default judgment on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, on 8, 9 citations. Rachel Hotchkiss is a default judgment on all 3 citations. Cameron Housel is a default judgment on all 3 citations. Yeah. Oh. Operate with controlled substance. It's a 6-month DL revocation. There's no alcohol. So until they come up with a standard for the dogs, I've got to give it 6 months.
I have one, oh, use yours.
Okay. You ready? I know. I've watched you a couple times tonight, so I know. Arena Howell is a default judgment. Tina Howells is a default judgment. Scott Hubert is a bond forfeiture. Rose Idelicio Yellowbird is a bond forfeiture. Elias Romero Izele Castillo is a bond forfeiture. R.A.'s Rose Jackson Carter is a default judgment on both citations. Kyle Edward Jacobson is a default judgment. Christopher Johnson is a default judgment. Dalton Johnson is a bond forfeiture. Andrew Keiss is a bond forfeiture. James Killian is a bond forfeiture. Cody King is a default judgment. Gary Klingeman is a default judgment. Rosa Cornelson is a bond forfeiture. Miranda Christine Kotlowski is a bond forfeiture. Simon Link is a default judgment. Ralph Lathrop is a bond forfeiture. Jennifer Claire Lee is a default judgment on both citations. Jared Long is a default judgment. Marissa Lukasik is a default judgment. Joseph Linus is a bond forfeiture on both citations. What's it?
I'm sorry, yes, you're right. I have that other Linus.
Oh.
Threw me off because he's not on the docket.
Oh,
so-
okay. David Massey is a default judgment. Dennis McCown is a default judgment. Ashley McDonald is a bond forfeiture. Austin McGuire is a default judgment. Asher McMullen is a bond forfeiture. Edgar Mendez Mino is a default judgment. Alan Metzler is a bond forfeiture on both citations. Aaron Meyer is a bond forfeiture. Gage Mickelson is a default judgment. Lucas Moore is a default judgment. Sherry Moore is a default judgment. No restitution. Juan Morales, based upon the motion of the city, the citation is dismissed. William Morgan is a bond forfeiture. That's city attorney? No. Yeah, sure. Jack Nelson is a bond forfeiture on both citations. Trenton Nelson is a default judgment. Thu Wen is a default judgment.
1 second, I just want to see, this might be, so it did get on here, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Okay.
Molly Olson is a default judgment. Brandon Osman is a default judgment. Daniel Petrinos is a default judgment. Christopher Perez Lopez is a default judgment. Thomas Pete is a default judgment. Kayla Polensky is a default judgment on both citations. Isam Kumsaya is a bond forfeiture. Wendy Reed is a bond forfeiture. Joshua Reed is a default judgment on both citations. Adrian Rodriguez is a default judgment in all 3 citations. Nicholas Recker is a bond forfeiture. Randy Rollins is a default judgment. Michael Ruffin is a default judgment. Mary Rushing is a default judgment. Colin Schrader is a default judgment. Devin Schrader is a default judgment on both citations. Nicholas Schulze is a bond forfeiture. Joaquim Alexander Skinner Roy is a default judgment. Tasha Schlaughter is a default judgment. Stephanie Smalley, based upon the motion of the city, the citation is dismissed. Mick Smith is a default judgment on both citations. Havan Solis is a default judgment. Havan, on both citations. Justin Paul Thomas Speed is found guilty of speeding and forfeit the bond. Diane Sproul is a default judgment. Connor Stormont is a default judgment. Brandon Simon Sung is a bond forfeiture. Noah Stilty, is a bond forfeiture. Elian Fabiola Taipe is a bond forfeiture. William Thompson is a default judgment. Rachel Triggs is a default judgment. Andrew Vang is a bond forfeiture. Stacy Vitens is a default judgment on all 5 citations. Brendan Scott Vitens Vale is a default judgment. James Voxman is a default judgment. Michael Scott Wagner is a default judgment. Chelsea Wallace is a bond forfeiture. Mitchell Ward is a default judgment on both citations. Sean Whitener is a bond forfeiture. Jacqueline Wendorf is a default judgment. Andrew Weston is a default judgment. Anna Wickman is a default judgment. Christina Wilde is a default judgment. Dwight Williams is a default judgment. Phyllis Wisden is a default judgment. And Donald Ray Wynn Jr. is a default judgment. See you know? Anything else? All right, that's it for tonight. Court's adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Sometimes when I talk for a while,